Max so graciously came up early because he's really not doing anything anyway, but
It's kinda like the auditor.
I know.
Okay. All right, everybody's back and ready to roll. Have that or share it?
Well, you guys got it, you looked at it, what's your questions? This is your meeting. So we factored 3% salary increase for all the employees as was requested. I will say this, I did increase chief deputy salary and the jail commander salary a little more, due to the fact that when they went to exempt employees with no overtime, they were never increased. And I kind of put them in line with the area counties around. And me and Susan, we met, we went through the entire budget. We tried to reduce our operating costs because I really want my employees to get that 3%. If we could do more, that'd be great. So I reduced areas that I can make up for with other areas of revenue that I bring in through commissary or through housing federal inmate money. But I don't know what the state's looking at or if the 3% is even a possibility, but I tried to reduce as much as I could so we could still get that pay raise.
So there's some other pay raises that are above the 3%.
Yeah, just
There's
those
two.
two. I got a little crazy with the yellow marker in Max's budget.
So the other
I
ones
got
are.
3.
Yeah, but some of them are just enough that those people are now getting longevity.
Like
But
the
when I was
jailer,
marking them, I wasn't
I don't know
paying
about-
that's the
attention.
only question I forgot to ask
So
you.
there's only two.
Should have been only two, yeah, it should be the chief deputy spot and the jail commander spot.
Which is the 11-101 and the 11-119
Was
spot.
this a mistake then?
Probably.
My yellow highlights are a mistake part of the
No, the number of 8315. 18315. You got 53,775, now
I'm-
57,279.
Where are you at?
46, he's on page 9.
Yeah,
45.
8-3 what?
1-5.
Yeah, that's my error.
no, I'm asking if that's Max's or, cause it's your error is, you did the
I shouldn't have
57.
highlighted it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it should be 51.
6.5%, almost
Yeah.
I know, but some of it's probably longevity, or we
Yes.
moved a different person into that line item because the job changed somehow.
Right.
Well, okay, here, let me ask you this. What is the difference between all the jailers and that one?
Usually
So that line item is Sergeant Fisher. He was a corporal prior to that.
And then he got promoted to sergeant.
most of the
Thank you.
increases, most of the bigger increases are corporals and sergeants.
Right.
And it doesn't show up on our.
It was
You
just
don't, yeah,
all
you
the,
don't see a name attached to it, yeah, that's why, yeah,
So
Susan brought her.
Going back to the jail commander and chief deputy, Maxie, do you have anything you can show us, relative to what the other departments are paying, so we can.
Yeah, I didn't bring that with me, it's LaGrange, I got the actual thing from the ISA on the, on their pay schedules, they submit that every year, I don't, you remember doing that, Doug, when you were there?
Yeah.
I do have that, and that's what I measured it off of,
Cause I think that would help us to
okay,
compare, if you could maybe email.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, I'll show, I'm,
typically the ones that are not necessarily bordering, cause Allen County's not a fair comparison.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Our population.
no, I will do our, same population density as well as like Steuben and Cal LaGrange,
That would help, and that would help.
but you'll see where they're at, so.
Max, you said the other thing, some of that increase was why, because what went away?
They became exempt employees, they don't get overtime,
Okay,
so that went away. These guys take an exorbitant amount of calls after hours, both the chief deputy and the jail commander.
how many are we talking, you track that, or?
I don't track it, but I just know what's going on. The guys call them when they have, employees basically asking them questions about certain things that pertain to the job, whether it's the jail or on the road or training or who knows what. I mean, and it's not just 9 o'clock at night, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, and, you know, they never clocked on and took their time anyway. So, but, I mean, still would like to make sure that they're getting compensated for what they're losing out on certain things, so.
So chief deputy, I mean, typically unless it's changed, you know, they did all the walk-in, a lot of the walk-in people that came in, so that's, I always advocated that it wasn't administrative when somebody walks in and files a complaint, or they took a lot of complaints in the window, and I'm assuming Walker still goes out
Oh, yeah.
when things are short, it helps with accidents. So I don't know why they ever changed it, I went in favor of having that change, I didn't think it was fair, because I know the state police, even the lieutenant, around the corner from me gets comp time. And that's neither here nor there at this point, but it would be nice to see the figures from surrounding counties, so we can.
Yeah, I'll do the chief deputies and I'll do the jail commanders.
The jail commander was getting overtime, comp time prior to?
Mhm.
Couldn't remember.
Yeah, so they went exempt 2 years ago. And we never changed theirs, they just got the basic increase like everybody else, so.
And with the jail being a 24/7 operation and
Right,
volatile situations, I'm sure they get calls throughout the
constantly.
night.
And again, the courthouse security has to come out of your, cause you're the one that's providing that.
Correct. And then we did take Tom Cole's salary, I don't know if you're aware, he had that massive stroke. He is no longer employed, so we took his salary, put it back into hourly overtime. And moved that over there, that increased our hourly overtime pay, part-time hourly overtime pay.
The jailer 18303. Is that, what's that increase for? Almost
He went
9%,
to corporal, he was just a
I
regular
missed that
jailer,
one.
and he went to corporal.
so just a promotion.
Yes.
If you don't mind me asking, what's that mean?
What's that?
What's that mean?
What's
Go
that?
from regular jailer to corporal sergeant?
You go into administrative functions, more like supervisory roles.
Okay.
So the holiday pays down, is that,
Yeah, we looked at the holiday pay, I think that was kind of over,
I think it was when the new system came about and we were, looked like we were spending more for that, and then they switched things around, and I don't think we're gonna be spending that now.
much in holiday pay.
Garage and others.
Garage and others, so that's just a reduction there, I can make that up in other areas, so. Same thing with gas, oil, lube, most of the uniforms I can take care of, equipment repairs, so. Uniforms,
The ammunition,
legal services, that's my legal deputy, that's what pays for that. I don't use him that often, and when he does, we have a balance in that anyway, so we just pay that up, so. What was your question, Trey?
for ammunition, I mean, I assume that majority of that is just utilized in like the range?
Correct, that. Right, that's rifle, shotgun, and pistol ammo.
And is there required, like,
4 times a year we qualify.
they have to,
We required a minimum of at least 2 hours, but we qualify rifle and pistol, so, and shotgun.
where do you do that?
Out here at the Conservation Club until we get our own range built.
Oh, yeah.
Is it plans here now?
It's in the works, we're working on some things.
next, the office limits on 184, 400.
It used to be Wanda.
Okay, so that,
And then Susan took that, but Susan already had a line item, so the money just went there versus.
How many canines do you have?
Just one, but I'm in the process of looking for a second for next year.
Get a small breed dog so you can save on food.
Yeah, poodle, a miniature poodle.
Well, ankle biters are scarier than big dogs.
Probably just go to another lab.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Thankfully, we have an officer that doesn't go off the rail and we don't have to get rid of the dog.
Doesn't what?
Doesn't go off the rail.
Oh,
That'd be nice.
And then, I don't know where you guys are at. If you looked at the overall total of the budget, I think our total increase is just on salaries alone is just like, we're just almost just 1% only of overall increase from last year.
If you go to page 54 and 55, this is, your opioid money next.
Yeah. Now last year, I mean, that was just the grant money, right?
Unrestricted and restricted.
So is it a grant or is it a grant?
It's a grant, so year-to-year basis. I went ahead and reapplied for that grant again this year, but we reduced the money we were requesting from last year. Whether the grant goes through or not, that'll be up to the JRAC committee. I
I
think
think
so.
the other thing we talked about when we went ahead with that was to see some data to see if it was
Yeah,
beneficial. Yeah.
so I did send that to the commissioners who have approved the JRAC, I didn't send it here because you guys weren't on the list for that, but right now, she started in February. I think she had 63 inmates she's held so far, we only had one return. And that was because there was an outstanding warrant for their arrest on another charge. It was for an FTA. So now we're working on some different avenues to try to get those that are pre-release before going to court have been sentenced. So she's helped people with their getting medical appointments made with Bowen Center or Northeastern Center, she's worked with them. She's getting qualified for other assistance in the community too, so plus assisting with applications for housing. So she's got a pretty good spreadsheet going what she's developed so far. So we didn't want to reinvent the wheel, so I put her in contact with several other departments that have release coordinators. She's kind of worked off their stuff and trying to get things developed, so. But
So 1 out of 63 years prior, do you know, out of 63 people, how many it would have been without what the percentage would have been?
I couldn't tell you that without seeing that stuff, so.
Could we get that, Matt?
Yeah, I can forward you the information I sent the commissioners too, so.
Max, when you started that program, it was a trial basis, right?
Yeah, it's always a year-to-year basis.
Okay, so what's, you're gonna continue it then?
Right, we're gonna try to do that.
Successful.
We figured it's gonna take us at least 3 years to see exactly whether or not it's functional or not,
Okay.
right, so.
but you may or may not get one.
That is correct, that's
When
not.
do you know that?
They should have their meeting sometime here this fall yet.
Okay.
Cause they'll have to start before January, usually goes into effect, so I would say probably like the fourth quarter, October or something to have that.
But we should mention that, I wondered what the balance was, so this opioid restricted, what is 1238? I think it's 1238.
Yeah,
There's quite a bit of money sitting in these funds right now. So let's say that this grant that Max is asking for gets denied, which seems to be the case for probation at this point. I mean, he can still afford to employ her for a couple years. Maybe it would come back. I mean,
With the
if you
money
live
they
by the rule that once the grant goes, the employee goes. But there was quite a bit of money in this fund before,
They came from where?
But that wasn't all earmarked for this.
no, but we haven't spent it on anything except this at this point.
yeah.
I thought they had,
Nothing has been
I
spent out of
think
these
I
funds.
requested $90,000 last year
For this.
for this grant. And I think we've so far only spent probably, 30-some thousand?
But the restricted fund had 300 and some thousand in it, and
Right.
the unrestricted has 143,000 plus. And nothing out of this opioid money outside of this position has been spent since we've got it. And it is restricted money, so it's kinda like buying a chair out of your 4D money, you can't do it, so.
Yeah, and just so you're aware too, there's only 5 areas that this money can be utilized for. And that is like peer support, jail release, there's a couple of transportation, there were 2 others, I can't think of them all off the top of my head. But they have to apply through the probation department for these funds, but they have to meet the criteria of one of those 5. If it doesn't, it just sits there until the state says, hey, you're not using it, we're gonna take it back.
Right, it's just like 4D money, they give it to you, but you can't spend it.
What's up?
And that's part of that J-RAC, all that stuff through that opioid money, settlement money.
Just moving on, work release maintenance, I don't know if there's any questions anybody has or any comments you have now, that's didn't change at all.
No, work release did not change, it's still at 30-25, extra dish is still 10,000. One of some of the bigger changes too is like on the, lit public safety money we're using, we reduced our area and janitorial supplies, bedding. We reduced, meals came down, we got stuff there for meals, and uniforms again there, so that's stuff within the jail side. So again, like I said, we tried to reduce areas in our operating costs that I can make up for in other areas if we run short, without having to come back for additional appropriation. My goal is to make sure, I'm gonna tell you right up front, if you do not keep up on your salaries with law enforcement, you're gonna lose people because other agencies are paying their officers more money. And all you are is just a training ground, and it just gets old after a while. And before long, you're not gonna have officers here. You're just gonna keep going elsewhere. So that's why we need to keep and maintain these salaries for these guys and these people that we have and that we've trained. That way you have a constant, group of individuals that are committed to Noble County. So public safety should be one of your number 1 concerns, so. So like, I mean, even if, and I'll be honest with you, if I get 5% for my merit deputies, I would try to get that in there. So, the 3% can stay for the civilian population employees, but the merit deputies, we need to look out for the merit deputies and keep that going, because if you lose the merit deputies.
I mean, you budgeted just 3% on all of them.
Yeah, I did. But like I say, if there's money available, if we could come back and revisit it, I'd like to increase the merit deputies to 5%. Chief deputy 10, jail commander 10, and leave the 3% for the rest of the civilian employees.
Who's the merit deputies?
That's certified law enforcement officers,
Okay.
Academy training.
academy trained, certified.
And the problem is though, once the budget's already been advertised at this, correct, Shelley?
Well, the general fund has been advertised at this, so if you cut it in other places, as long as we don't go over that bottom figure, it can be moved around, so,
Yeah.
but it's confusing.
I guess I have a question too on the chief deputy, I mean, it's been a couple of years since I made that change. And I don't know that I don't think we put in for an increase for that.
I did not put an increase for that when they changed it at that time, so.
Have you been paid by the state yet for the?
No, we just, in fact, I just gave the figures to Nicole to start looking, see if we received anything.
So
And like she said, our numbers, so we did get approved for April, May, on that billing cycle. We are now $360-some thousand that they have not, and we're not the only county, they owe millions throughout the whole state, so.
So when you're talking about approved for April and May, you're talking about April, May, a year
25.
ago, April, May?
No, our
Because
last
we're-
change, what did I say was that, we just got paid, our last payment was in April of last year. We haven't been paid since,
Last,
and that
since
payment,
24.
yes, that payment came in August of last year.
Yeah. Like I
So
said,
supposedly,
people up and take them down and.
Yeah.
Propagate. 92 sheriffs do that might say something.
Exactly.
They might pay them.
well, I sent a letter to the commissioner about requesting payment upon receipt of this, haven't received that yet, so. Denny Graff does have the paperwork and contact, and I gave a contact to Nicole for DOC. So.
You mean the VOC commissioner,
DOC, the yes,
not the commissioner here?
Right,
correct, right,
Okay.
DOC, yes.
Right.
And, but, But then he has also the contact for the billing person for DOC also.
Who's probably changed jobs by now,
I
cause they're
would,
tired of you people calling them. I mean,
Gone into protection.
the state don't pay that well.
You still housing federal prisoners?
I am.
What are they paying now?
I get $70 a day.
$70. Is that going up recently or is it?
No, the contract's for a 3-year contract, it's, you know, be renegotiated anytime, but, so,
Where does that, like if they were to cut us, or cut them a check for 300,000, where does that go?
General.
Just back in the general fund?
Yep.
right.
Which would really be
That'd be
helpful at this
nice.
point in time.
Yeah, until that, the other 90 counties, well, actually, 90 counties, because there's one county that doesn't have a jail.
Any other questions? Budget?
Service, are we still, or is that right on him, is it? The E911?
Service, no, that's not me, that's, yeah, so we do share the lead between dispatch and us, but we get the majority of it, so.
Doug, if you wanna read Jared's email, pertains to today, but
So I just glanced at it. Let's see.
sorry, Max, I didn't deal with you, but.
So this is from Jared, one
Jared who?
Oh, and
Oh,
item that I neglected to pass along at the end of the budget hearing. Department of Corrections is giving us until September 1st, 2025 to submit our final budgets to the state. September 1 is Labor Day, so we need to finalize and upload prior to that, August 25th.
What?
So that's, you know, they deal, their budget cycle's different than ours for most of their money.
so.
So did you read Jared's email, Shelley?
you wait a
About,
I guess,
did you get it today?
just now.
Oh,
But
well,
prior to that, I guess, do we have any other questions for these guys?
so I guess I have, Shelley, so you say you advertised the budget already once, but once this is approved, then you'll advertise again?
I'll have to submit
Okay,
an adopted budget.
so my question is, let's say you go through this whole thing, let's say we have the funds available. Let's say I can increase that salary to 5%, increase, because like I said, I would increase this budget 1% over last year. What's your thoughts about giving the merit deputies a 5%?
Well, obviously, that's outside of me, if you're asking me or you're
Well,
asking them.
I'm asking them, but, I mean, you see the numbers as well as I do.
Right,
And-
that would all come down to how much is cut out of county general, okay? Cause those are all general fund people.
Right,
So it's confusing if you don't do this all the time, but the general fund is advertised here. We want it to go to here,
right,
and anything between here and here that gets cut leaves a leeway maybe to move money into a different line item. And it's just like for probation, we don't roll these budgets until January. As long as we know where that money's gonna go, we can't go higher than here though, ever, because that's what we've advertised, without doing an additional appropriation for something,
How much
so.
more money would 2% more be?
I'd have to sit down and figure that out. I wanted to breach that with you guys first, so,
I guess, I mean, it'd been nice to have it already in there,
yeah.
because, I mean, it's a link.
Well, first we didn't even know we were gonna get 3%. Well, last I was told
You
that,
still don't know that you're gonna.
yeah, exactly.
Right,
So, I mean, I was very leery about that even, so,
I don't think that part of it's changed, Max, I mean, whether you know whether you're even gonna get 3% at this
Right, right.
point. But I think that's something that everybody, if they're listening or whatever, when they're doing their budgets, I mean, obviously I go through and I highlight, hey, these people asked for more than what we recommended.
right.
But I mean, you ask for it and they shoot you down, you've asked for it. If you don't ask for it, you put them in a position, where are we gonna get the money to make it happen?
I know public safety for me is top priority, and that's including snow plowing and everything else that has to do with safety, so.
Well, I can go back and I can email you what 5% just for the merit deputies would be increase. You know, you can see that too, I mean, it's not gonna be that extravagant, I don't believe, so.
What was it, 24 deputies?
No, it'd be 22 deputies, yeah, 22 deputies, so. And I'm just talking deputies, cause I've already got the chief deputy already built in, so
I'd like to have that number just for future reference,
I can,
myself.
we go back and calculate what 5% on top of last year's salary would be.
And I think also it's always beneficial if the
Yeah,
board has
what is the
comparisons
lowest paid
between other
deputy?
counties to see.
63,000.
63,112.
That tells me they're not receiving any longevity,
Right, so
because
that
you're
would
gonna
be
pay you that 5% on no longevity.
So, yeah, right, so basic without longevity would be another would be 3,155.60. So,
We'll know, I mean,
so you're looking like you're gonna put a basic deputy at 66,267. 68 if you round up. But you know, when you got state police that's doing a lateral transfer of employees or of hires, I should say, and they're doing an 8-week lateral academy now and starting them out at $75,000 or $80,000. So, but I'm just putting that out there for food for thought.
How many merit deputies are there?
22, I believe, 23 total.
And you're talking what, roughly
22, yeah.
4 grand, let's say. So that's another 88,000, give or take a buck.
And we're only 74,000 over last year's budget.
How has it been for overtime this year? I think last year you came back for appropriation or additionals, but I don't think I've seen.
Not this year, no, I'm a Nazi. I watch the overtime pretty closely. And I'll be honest with you, and I talked with Shelley about this too, like, depending where we're at and with, I'm gonna use you as an example, let's say you're on there and let's say your anniversary date was just May this year. You're not due till May next year, let's say you had some overtime, but you decided to take personal leave day or vacation day, and you had 2 hours overtime, well, I give you 2 hours of your vacation time back to use later on. So, and the guys know it too, cause I put a letter out, they understand that, you know, we're not here to just pay everybody everything that they can get. It's just that we gotta manage our overtime, we gotta manage everything, so I watch every employee pretty closely, that's even the jail side.
Cause the sheriff's department was not exempt from the comp time going away, or?
They were not,
We don't get comp time,
right,
I ended that.
but they do get flex time.
Yeah,
They
basically that's what we're doing is we're flexing their time too, so.
So each department has availability of flex time?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody
Problem
does.
is the sheriff's department working holidays, weekends,
Right.
so if they accumulate time on the pay cycle, it's Wednesday and Thursday's the end of the pay, then
Yeah.
they're not gonna be able to take it.
Especially if there's only 2
Right.
guys scheduled.
Yeah.
So you fully staffed on the deputy side now?
Our last deputy goes, first part of September to the academy. And all our deputies now are Noble County residents except for Whitney, and she's not going anywhere, so.
Any other questions?
I don't know how the state expects the county to make all this stuff happen.
Yeah, I don't either,
It's like not
so,
paying what they owe you,
Right.
that's ridiculous.
if we owe them, they would expect paid,
The next month.
right?
And I thought, wasn't the state in such a good financial,
So, yes.
But quite honestly, the state uses that because they owe all these counties money. So when they do their end of the year financial report, it looks like they have $1 billion in surplus
Right.
because of the money they owe
Haven't
everybody
spent it.
else. And they've used that since I mean,
They give
I
you
do
time.
think Holcomb was better about paying
Paid.
money out. I mean, but now, Holcomb was his last year,
Correct.
last year. But I mean, I do think he got on top of making sure that the counties and stuff were paid for housing, but.
And I don't think too that the DOC I think they finally realized that equation that they were utilizing to come up with these figures was working correctly. So they're trying to come up with some other avenue of doing this, but we have been tracking that since last year. So, and Jenny does a very good job of billing and keeping up on all that. The problem is that when DOC does send a check, electronic check to auditor's office, whatever code they use, whatever, it doesn't come just for that month. They send like 3 months at a time or 5 months, and then Cole's gotta try to figure out, or, you know, what fund that goes into, and then, you know, divide that accordingly, so that can kind of be an accounting nightmare. So we've been trying to watch that as closely as possible, so.
Well, at least with the feds, if they don't start paying, you can just tell them to keep
Yeah,
their
yeah.
inmates.
But they are very,
This is, you know, you're statutorily required to keep.
they're the easiest people to deal with. They send a check every month, and they had, even if we do the billing wrong, they'll even ask a question, cause we had, it was an error on my part, because I had put a guy down because I picked him up at Huntington County, and took the long way to pick up another inmate. And I logged it differently on the billing sheet, so they called Susan and said, hey, you know, why is this blah, 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 or why did you not bill for this? And they catch it, they keep pretty good track of it, so, and they're pretty good at paying on time. Now accordingly, of course, if the feds go on, like, if there's something with their budget cycle or whatever, they're run out, it comes time to start, you know, their budget areas going or stalled, then we may not get paid for a month or two, but once we do, they pay everything back up, so.
It's kind of amazing.
Yeah, so, but I will email you guys the difference on merit pay for the deputies. I'll email you the chief deputy pays for the surrounding areas and counties. And then I will email you Casey's quarterly report. So, what was spent out of that.
Will you copy me on that?
Yeah, I will, yeah, that way you have it, so. I'll do that as soon as I get back to the office.
Will that be clear?
Yep.
Any other questions?
What do you think?
You
It's
ready?
gonna take me back.
I gotta take her back, she's gotta do some calculating and I gotta do some emailing. So,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you. And don't give dispatch anything.
Normally don't. Sheriff takes it all.
I don't know if everybody knows Jay, he is the new 911 director,
Okay.
I know a few faces around the table.
so Max is over there,
Thank you.
that's Max, Trey, Mary,
Lou.
Barb, Tom, Brandon, Casey.
Okay.
There'll be a text later.
So, of course, this is my first time going through one of these processes. I think I was in the role all of 1 week before I got the email from Shelley saying, hey, here's these budget forms, I need these filled out and turned back into me, so. To say there's been a slight learning curve is an understatement. But I'm gonna do the best that I can here with the information that I have. One of the things that I did notate, and that you guys are probably gonna notate out of the general fund, is the huge increase. The reason for that, Noble County, we receive a disbursement from the state, $45,872 per month from the state 911 board. That's from fees collected from the cell phone and landline user agreements. That's an annual supplemental budget of $550,464. The current budget expense items for just our employee salaries and benefits alone total $742,311. That does not include any overtime, part-time expenses, so that's almost a $200,000 deficit in that fund. If we go to include the overtime budget, we're at almost a $271,000 deficit in that fund. So basically, we're spending a lot more than we're taking in. That fund has been overloaded. So we really need to shift some expenses out of the statewide 911 fund onto the general fund. I'm not sure when that all took place, and again, I'm not trying to finger point, I just noticed that we have a serious issue and we need to get that addressed. I did have the state 911 board in my office, I believe it was last week, the week before, we discussed some of these items. Obviously, the 911 funds are supposed to be used as the county as a supplement, not to be your entire operating budget. Obviously, we're dealing with a lot of expensive equipment, CAD programs, our 911 call routing systems. A lot of those systems are going to need some significant upgrades here in the very near future. And if we don't have any money in that statewide 911 budget to do that, we're gonna find ourselves even in a kind of a snowballing situation. We're gonna go through the items here. Under the general budget, so if you notice, part-time, overtime, we're trying to shift that from the statewide 911 fund over to the general budget.
Where you at, Jay?
Yeah, what?
On
Page
page,
58,
For us?
page 58 is the general, and
Right.
then page 59 is the statewide 911. And he's talking about the things I've highlighted in blue,
Right.
okay? Sorry, Jay, go ahead.
no, you're fine. So basically, the overtime and part-time budget was paid out of statewide 911 previously. We're attempting to shift that onto the general budget line items. And then I believe there's 2 salaries, myself and one of our dispatcher salaries. Again, shifting that burden off the 1222 fund into the general fund to start alleviating some of that over expense that we're creating in that fund.
So, hang on a
What'd you say,
second,
the
Jay,
part-time?
so Nicole, I'm sorry, ma'am, is that, we're
I-
not showing the overtime.
I know, that's what I just said, that's what I just said to Shelley, there's no
That's on
part-time,
page 59, but that's a different.
that's statewide,
Right.
Right,
but I think we're missing a part-time overtime line item in the general.
Yeah, it's not on here.
And I've discussed this with Shelley, we may have not adjusted that onto the general fund for this year, maybe we were gonna hold and see. Cause I do know we adjusted a couple of the salaries, you'll see that listed on both to determine which fund we want those to come across, so the overtime, I might have misspoke on that, we might have, for next year, kept that under the 1222 fund. So I probably,
the E91 money's been generated in the past basically from landline phones and
correct, and
911,
cell
all
phones,
that
yep.
funding keeps going down because everybody's on cell phones, but I can't remember, they still get a charge on a cell phone somewhere.
They do get a charge, our funding has stayed the same ever since they've started that. We've received the same amount since, I wanna say it's 2012, we've received that same amount, so it's divided, they came up with a calculation, and then, each county gets a portion of those funds, so ours has not changed, it's always been that $45,872 per month.
So when you met with them, was there any talk about that money amount changing?
No, they have not mentioned any of that changing, and again, that has not changed ever since they've started taking control of that fund. I believe prior to 2012, the counties kind of controlled that money that came directly to the counties. Now the state collects all that money, averages the call volume, and then determines how much each county is going to be dispersed.
I remember that when it happened, and I figured this meeting would happen again some point in time because the money was no
Right,
longer gonna be.
and so far, they have not mentioned that that's going away, because obviously that's still being collected
Right.
on a monthly basis by all the cell phone users.
Right. Okay, well, yeah, I didn't mean to.
No, you're fine. Everything I've pretty much kept the same,
Let's do this.
I did increase the,
What's going on?
Yeah, I know.
It's a whole,
Sorry,
everyone
Jay.
gets excited about a whole bunch.
Shelley interrupted everybody.
I'm sorry, Jay.
Poor Jay.
no, you're fine.
All right, continuing.
So under the general fund, the service contracts, $75,000. Basically what I've done is I've tried to transfer the service contracts from the 911 fund over to the general fund. Again, just to try to alleviate some of that, so it's not necessarily that much of a big of an increase. It's just we're shifting it from statewide 911 fund onto the county general fund. A lot of those expenditures are already been established. A bulk of the lion's share of that is through Motorola for our consoles and our radios that we use in dispatch. We're paying on that through 2032, and of course, that goes up incrementally every year. So in 2026, our liabilities to Motorola just for the maintenance agreement and the equipment is $53,029. 2027, that goes up to $54,359. And then once we reach 2032, we'll be at $61,739.
Say for service contracts, is that what you said?
For the service contracts for our Motorola radio consoles that we use for our dispatching.
And there's no talk about, them changing the game anymore, and ever having going to different frequency, and
Well,
how to update like everything.
I've got more bad news for you.
That's what it is.
We're paying on our consoles, of course, this was a part of a, I believe it was an 11-year agreement when we got these new consoles here. The system cost us almost $500,000. We're paying on this through 2032. Well, in 2030, Motorola reaches their 15-year lifespan for those 7,500 Motorola consoles that we have. So they will no longer be providing support past 2030. Now, how that looks in this, since we're paying a maintenance service agreement through 2032, they're ending support in 2030, that's something I'm gonna need to reach out to them, because why are we still paying for 2 more years of maintenance agreement if you're no longer gonna support those councils?
So I'd anticipate down the road, there's
Right.
gonna be a major.
But again, you're looking at a major expense there. If you start thinking about our Spillman CAD system, next year, we've had that system for 8 years. Again, that's something that's a very costly and expensive program, and it's probably something we're gonna have to start budgeting for down in the future to do an upgrade to our Spillman CAD system. And then also with our IM Digital, that's basically our phone system, so anytime anybody calls 911, comes in through that IM Digital Solacom unit. We're approaching our 5-year end of agreement with them. So to do a refresh with them, the quote on that was $104,501.26. And an annual maintenance costs for years 2, 3, 4, and 5 of $30,045. We are currently paying $11,728.16 for our software support and maintenance. Our next payment for that will be September of 2025, and that's good for September of 25 to September of 26. But then we're at our end of our 5-year term. And from the communications I've got from them is that they have not increased the annual costs in line with vendor cost increases. This means the new maintenance and support costs, when renewed, will be in line with what you saw in the recent quote. Meaning that our $11,728.16 figure is gonna go up to that $30,000 a year for maintenance. And again, that's not something that we really have a choice on, it's not something that we can just shop around, be like, well, you guys are too expensive, we're gonna go with somebody else. IM Digital owns the ballgame, I mean, that's just how it is, they control the PSAPs for this area, and they can pretty much set their pricing.
Okay.
So that's down the future, but that's where you see where we're really gonna start needing to take the liabilities off of the 1222 fund and transition that back onto the general fund. I think for a long time that these liabilities used to be paid out of the general. And then somebody saw a very large number in that 911 fund and thought, hey, we have to spend this or the state's not gonna give us this money. And I think that was incorrect information that were relayed to different folks. And that's not it at all, I mean, that's why we were meant to have kind of like a rainy day fund, so when we need radio consoles or we need a Spillman upgrade, you know, if we've got $1 million on the account, hey, now $100,000 for a new phone software refresh isn't a big deal, but when we no longer have that money and we don't have it budgeted in our line item budget, I'm gonna have to come in front of you guys and say, get $105,000 because the phone system that we operate our 911 telephone calls is outdated and we need a refresh and they're not gonna support us anymore. So it really puts us in a tight position. The only additional things that I've requested for this year that I don't believe were part of the old budget, again, I just kind of, we're shuffling things from one to the other. I've asked for a cell phone line item budget in the general fund. That was previously being paid out of the state 911 budget. That is not an eligible expense and should not have been paid out of that fund. We passed State Board of Accounts audit on that, but again, that wasn't a correct expenditure, and I caught that. So we need to really transition that into the general fund. That's not something that the state allows us to pay that for.
Who has the cell phones and you obviously have.
I've got one for myself, my assistant director. We have one for dispatch general because the phone systems go down so often. And then we've got 3 hourly employees that currently are on a county paid cell phone. I'm not sure why that was ever created, so that's something I'm gonna look into. That might be something that we get away with, cause if they're not as a supervisory level, I don't see why the county is paying for someone's cell phone plan.
And Jerry, I assume you kind of concurred that with Shelley as a auditor dealing with money and
Right.
things that, you found that, she knows about it. I mean, Shelley, you good with that?
About what he's paying for?
No, moving, the
Well,
state
yeah,
board
but
didn't
that's,
touch it.
that's
and-
why, well, the
No,
state,
yeah, I know,
the state board comes in and they look
Yeah.
at 100
General,
claims,
yes.
right? I mean,
And the gals from the state 911 fund, when I explained this, cause I just wanted to, confirm, I'm like, hey, all the literature I'm reading, we shouldn't be doing this, right? She said, no. I said, what if we have been doing that? She said that we would need to reimburse that fund. But then I said, well, obviously it's passed the State Board of Accounts audit. She's like, well, if that's the case, then she's like, I wouldn't be too concerned with that now, but going forward, now that you're aware of that, you need to correct that. So, the bills that I've been paying for our cell phone bills, I've already been paying out of the line item, I think it's, communication services possibly, or maintenance agreements, under the general fund and not the 1222 fund. I'm seeking a $1,500 stipend, or basically per diem, to our training officer. We currently pay that stipend to our Spillman coordinator, Spillman coordinator, our IDEX coordinator, cause there's a lot of extra work that's involved with that role. And likewise with our training officer, there's a lot of extra responsibilities that they do to train our new folks that are coming in the door. I would like to see them compensated that extra $1,500 a year stipend. I believe those are the only additional items that I've added to the budget.
So the IDEX coordinator, Jay, is, cause I know years past, in the sheriff's department, we had somebody paying somebody full-time basically to do the warrants and all that kind of stuff. So is this just somebody in your office now that's taking on the extra?
No.
Is that, or are you talking about, go ahead.
So of course, the sheriff's department has a warrants clerk, they do all the warrants entries and things of that nature. What our IDEX coordinator does is they have to do all the monthly validations, basically, so anything that's entered in the system, stolen vehicles, runaway persons, stolen firearms. Every month, the state sends us basically a list saying we need all these records validated, are they still valid, should they remain in the system? And that can get quite large.
and that's a
so-
position that the county's had since I was a dispatcher,
Right.
a long time ago, Randy, you were still in there.
But that's, like, were they ever compensated before?
Well, they've been compensated for the last 10, 15 years. I mean, they've been compensated for a long while, but in the beginning, no, we weren't compensated, I'm sure. But they have been for quite a while now, and I believe that Kendallville City has one they compensate too over there, so,
They do now.
yeah. So,
Yeah, I thought that.
But yeah, our IDEX coordinator, she oversees the sheriff's department, and then all the outlying other 5 departments, myself and my assistant director, do those. So, of course, we dispatch and are responsible for the sheriff's department, and then 5 other police agencies, so. any of those agencies that have likewise a stolen vehicle, stolen gun, missing persons, anything that needs to be entered into the IDAC system, we do all those entries and we're responsible for validating those entries every month. And then on top of that, all the criminal histories, the triple Is. Anytime we run a criminal history on someone, it has to be on a log. We have to verify that log that we're running those criminal histories for a valid and a just purpose. If not, we could potentially lose access to the system. We wouldn't be able to utilize the IDAC system.
Has that always been the case?
Yes.
On triple I?
Yeah.
I don't think, I can remember years ago,
Well-
you didn't have to have a, you did not have to have a just cause or on a triple I, and then we just did it.
Let me say, as long as I've been doing it since 2002,
Okay,
yes.
1983.
You had to have a valid reason to run a complete criminal history. And we're talking criminal history, not just like a license or a license plate. We're talking complete criminal history. That has to be logged with the person's name, their date of birth, the case number, the officer that requested it, and the purpose of why we did it. And the same with switch messages. If we send a terminal message from our terminal to, let's say, LaGrange's terminal, we have to log that with the message number, the subject, who is involved. So that's all auditable by the state. So when the state comes in, they inspect our records, they'll say, hey, pull these case files for me, and I will look at all these. We'll pull all those files out, and she'll go through page by page, looking at all this to verify that we're doing everything according
Casey,
to
I
this.
just want Casey to know that wasn't always the case, so, just,
As long as I've been doing it, it's always been the case, but
So as your training officer, are they doing the new employees then? Is that
yes,
their
they
responsibility?
have been for a very, very long time, just have not been getting that compensation. I wanna actually send them to a certified trainers course. I think there's been some lax training standards as of late. I wanna increase the training. Of course, the state now requires us to have a certain amount of training and then continued education's training. For the,
I'm sorry for that.
Yeah.
But I just wanna make sure that everybody understands, obviously Max and Brandon, but the time it takes to get a new dispatcher that you hire in today until they're off on their own is a very lengthy process.
easily 4 to 6 months.
Yeah.
That's with someone coming in the door fresh with no law enforcement experience, just green, cause you're learning the, kinda how everything works, you're learning the lingo, you're learning the CAD system. It's an
So it's a
ongoing
lot
learning basis,
for-
so
it's a
there
lot
is
for a
a
training
lot,
officer.
Yep.
So. Okay. Continue on.
So obviously, you folks are gonna see me next month, because we're already facing an issue with the overtime budget. We've had a lot of employees out on medical leave, maternity leave, surgeries.
Don't drink the water in there.
Things of that nature. So I tried to do my best basically to kind of implement like a peak call volume staffing. So prior to my arrival, they were trying to fill every single hour, and our overtime budget, we're already $2,500 over what we were budgeted for the year, and we're sitting in August. So I've tried to do a basically peak call volume staffing where we'll have that position covered from 2 p.m. to 2 a.m. Those are the busier times, because during the day, at 6 a.m., we're not tend to be that as busy as we're at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And of course, myself and my assistant director are here during the day. There's no reason that one of us can't hop on one of those consoles to help assist if we get busy. So, again, would I like to have 3 people in there all the time? Yes, but now that we're facing an overtime crisis, I'm trying to do what I can do to try to minimize the damage.
So where are you at right now with your 25 budget for overtime?
Year-to-date overtime expenditures were at $70,450.23. We were budgeted for $68,000, so we're already at a $2,450 deficit. But again, when you look at kind of a 24/7, 365-day operation, it's not to demean anyone else that works in this building. But if someone were, one of the outlying offices decides to take a day off, maybe their position just goes unfilled or somebody kind of helps out. In dispatch, that's not the case. We only have 2 people or 3 people, and if we work 12-hour shifts, so let's say it's, someone's 8-hour day, and someone's on vacation day, well, that person's now going to have to work 12 hours, they're not gonna go home after 8, so we're paying them that 4 hours. Honestly, I would like to get rid of the 8-hour shifts altogether and just have them work 12s all the way through and calculate that 4 hours into the 2 week, just to eliminate the confusion with those 8-hour days. Cause sometimes I think that can end up costing us more as a county. Case in point, if, let's say a person has already used vacation time and they're going home on their 8-hour day and we're having someone else come in to cover that shift for 4 hours, we're gonna pay them a time and a half, whereas if the other person just worked those 4 extra hours, would have been straight time. So that's how DeKalb kind of does it as well, they still work 12-hour shifts, but they don't have this thing as such as an 8-hour day. They just, every shift they work is a 12-hour day, it's basically 4 hours of built-in overtime for each employee every 2 weeks. Because at the end of the day, you're gonna pay that anyway, if you're paying someone to come in and cover that shift if someone's going home for their 8-hour day.
Would it be the same as the deputies when it comes to the days of the week you work? Like 1 week it's your short week and the next week it's your long?
Yes.
Right, yeah, same type of deal. One of those days within that two week pay period is an 8-hour day for the folks. And I would like to actually honestly work on getting those just 12 hours all the way through, and we compensate them for 4 hours of overtime, or if they use any time off within that pay period, it's compensated at straight time.
A lot going on there, a lot of it you inherited, so you're trying to change and.
Yeah, we are trying to make some adjustments, a lot to learn. Another thing to kind of look at, I mean, I don't have necessarily the knowledge to speak to it, but it's curious why the bulk of the public safety and LOA funds go to the sheriff's department. So when I talked to a former sheriff said over here, I talked to the guy at DeKalb there to kind of bounce some things off of him. And they're kind of in the same boat that we are, that our communications center is separate from the sheriff's department, so we're a separate entity, and they share that LOA money 50-50. Cause there's more to public safety than just the sheriff's department, there's sheriff's department piece, but there's also, the 911 piece, which people call in, so, and again, I think that's gonna be going away and looking different anyway. But just something to kind of look at of maybe getting some distribution there. Cause again, at the end of the day, we don't have a lot of funds to pull from. Whereas I look at the sheriff, he's got the commissary fund and got this fund and money coming in for the federal inmate fund, so different pieces there.
Have you talked to him about that, Max?
I have not.
That is not just something that Max decides, that is something commissioners decide.
I understand,
Okay,
I mean, if they went at as a
Right,
team and
right.
they both, I mean, to me, it just makes it easier.
I don't know,
I think
in
probably
their
initially-
defense, I don't know that the dispatch director has ever asked for any more
Yeah.
than they're getting.
Right, and I think initially when the 911 fund was pretty flush, then it
There
was
wasn't a
like,
problem.
let's just divide it this way, so.
Right.
And again, if the 911 fund isn't overloaded with employee salaries and all the other expenses, then it wouldn't be an issue, but if we're gonna be putting a lot of that on that fund, then that doesn't leave any leftover monies for all the equipment upgrades that we need to do in the future.
Imagine Tom was here when we moved all those budgets into the 911 because
Yeah.
the general was drowning.
We're gonna have to do it.
Right, and yeah, there was a lot of money in that at one time.
Right.
2
A
or
lot
3
of money.
million, it
Yeah.
seems like. Yeah.
So on service contracts, Jay, with 36,200, going from 50,000 was he adopted to 0, is that,
What's
is that
moving up?
moved? That's moved too?
Yeah, but that's
General.
basically moving it to the general off that state 911 fund.
I didn't have that one behind right, so, okay.
And then again, on the first two, communications director and then the first dispatcher, you'll see that listed under both.
Yeah.
I think when I was working with Shelley, we listed under both, but our preference would be to have that under the general fund and remove it from the state 911 fund. When we were doing this, if it's not there, we can't add it, it's easier we can take it away, versus trying to add it after the fact.
And that might be something to look at.
And again, by doing that, we're still running a deficit, we're just starting to make a little bit of progress, that we're not trying to, like a hacksaw to year one, it's just, hey, we'll do a little bit this year, a little bit more this year, a little bit more this year, to get back into that balance of where we can start creating a fund build up into that 911 fund, so we have those monies to pay for those equipment upgrades that we're ultimately going to need to do. Again, right now, it's not a requirement by the state, but I'd imagine within the next 5-10 years, you know, we start talking about next generation 911 systems. I would probably foresee the state requiring counties to start getting on board with that next generation 911 system. Right now, we're basically what is an enhanced 911 system. That next generation 911 system is gonna be capable of receiving text messages and video messages and live streaming events right into a 911 center, and that all incorporates into your CAD system right from a caller's perspective. So it's kind of could be a good and a bad situation, but it's just, instead of trying to ask all these additional questions, hey, what's the suspect wearing, what color is their shirt, what's color their pants, you know, if someone's live streaming and it's coming right to our 911 center, then we're seeing it live, and we can relay that information out to our responding units.
Fascinating.
Cause I know you guys that are officers would be shocked to know that some guy that you give a call to is gonna come back and say, what color's his eyes? I don't care.
And then again, some of the other larger increases, I didn't have that knowledge base, so I was basing it off the 2024 expenditure. So I kinda look at perf, you know, we spent $89,847 in 2024 on perf, so I budgeted for 90,000, so it's showing a 13.92% increase, but I'm basing on what we already spent. And that's obviously something that we can't control. Obviously, if we're required to pay that into that fund for our employees, then we're kinda stuck. Like everyone else that's come in front of you, I have requested the 3% raise for all of our employees across the board. Then of course, adjusted for their longevity.
Anything else?
So I've got
Any questions?
questions.
I'd like to compliment you on your
Wow.
first trial by fire.
I'd say
You did a very good job.
experience.
You didn't break a sweat.
I don't know, it's starting to get a little hot in here.
Thanks for joining Noble County.
Yeah, absolutely.
Welcome back. A little back.
Yes, thank you,
Oh,
thank you.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he's been around.
Mary wants to know a little background, Jay, about you.
Sure, so I actually started with the Noble County Sheriff's Department in 2002, started at the jail. I was there from 2002 to 2013. 2 years in, I became a sergeant in the jail staff, so I had Sheriff Harp here for 8 years, I think. I was under Sheriff Dukes for July to you took over, and then had Leatherman for 8 years, so yeah. So I left in 2013, joined the private sector. After spending some time in the private sector, I decided I was gonna go back to school and get my college degree. So while I was doing that, I was working a management job for Walmart. And if anybody knows anything about being a manager at Walmart, you live at the store. So it's kind of really hard for me to do my schoolwork and, you know, do what I needed to do at a management level for Walmart. So I actually came back to Noble County as a dispatcher from 2018 to 2019. And then when Mitch retired, of course, Shelley took the position as 911 director. That opened up her spot over at Kendallville Dispatch. Well, I live in Kendallville, so I was like, this is 2 blocks away from my house and it's $3 more an hour. It's kind of a no-brainer. So I actually applied for that position at Kendallville Dispatch. I was hired for that job, so I was been a dispatcher for the city of Kendallville the last 6 years. And then when this position opened up again, I decided to put in for it because I think I can make a difference for our employees.
Wow.
Excited to have.
So yeah, I've started here and this is where I intend to finish my career at, so yeah. Excited to be
It's
there.
awesome.
But yeah, there's been a lot to learn and every day I'm learning something new, so.
Like I said, you did a great job.
Well, thank you, appreciate that.
Alright.
That it?
Thanks.
Yeah, it wasn't too rough. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have an unwanted guest.
No, just the process.
See, everybody says that.
I'm here for you.
Thank God. I hear they do your laundry and feed your meals, you don't have to clean up.
Okay, that.
Oh, you really are here for me?
Really am.
Oh.
Take a short recess if you want, or we can just,
That's it
I mean,
for
that's it
today,
for
isn't it?
today.
Yeah, hang on.
Yeah. Wasn't going anywhere yet.
Are we off the,
We are now.
We're off.
Yep.
All right.
That's impressive.
sounds like dispatch is